Your Excellency, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, my dear friend, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the United Nations family, I thank Prime Minister Ahmed for hosting this event and the people of Ethiopia for their warm welcome. The commemorative stamp, a series, will be launched today, not only a tribute to the United Nations on its 80th anniversary, it is also a reminder of the close partnership between Ethiopia and the organization, a partnership with roots that stretch back to our earlier days. Ethiopia is one of the original 51 nations that signed the United Nations Charter in San Francisco in 1945. And today, it remains a crucial champion of multilateralism and international cooperation. And I want to pay tribute to Ethiopia. Ethiopia represents an old civilization. We stand firmly with the people of Ethiopia and the people of Africa in their calls for a just representation across the institutions of global governance. And this means reforming the Security Council to reflect today's world and to redress the historical injustice against Africa by making its permanent representation a priority to enhance the Council's legitimacy and effectiveness. Your Excellency, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, my dear friend,
Ethiopia. We have no proof of the presence of Eritrean troops inside Ethiopia. I confronted the Prime Minister with that question, and he guaranteed to me that they have not entered Tigrayan territory, that the only area where they are is the area that corresponded to the disputed territory between the two countries that in the peace agreement was decided to give back to Eritrea. So this was the testimony that was given to me by the Prime Minister when I confronted him exactly with that question. What is clear is that we have had, in a few weeks, thousands of children killed. So this is what matters. We are witnessing a killing of civilians that is unparalleled and unprecedented in any conflict since I am Secretary General.
The forgotten cries of Ethiopia, a nation bleeding in silence. In the heart of the Horn of Africa, a silent genocide unfolds. Ethiopia, a nation known for its ancient civilization, its cultural heritage and its proud history of independence, is today drowning in rivers of blood. Villages are razed, children starve, women are violated, and communities vanish overnight. Yet the world looks away. The same international institutions that speak loudly about human rights in public forums whisper nothing when it comes to Ethiopia's pain. The genocide in Ethiopia is not new. It is a continuation of decades of ethnic tension, political corruption, and the thirst for absolute power. But since the outbreak of the Tigray conflict in late 2020, the violence has reached unimaginable levels. What began as a political dispute between the central government and the Tigray People's Liberation Front, TPLF, has turned into a brutal war against entire populations. Civilians have become targets. Reports from Tigray, Amhara, Oromia, and Afar regions describe scenes that echo Rwanda's dark history of 1994, massacres, systematic rape used as a weapon of war, forced starvation and mass graves. Satellite images confirm burned villages. Witnesses recount how ethnic minorities are hunted down, how the elderly are left to die without food or medicine, and how hospitals are destroyed deliberately. The world has been here before. We said, never again. Yet again it is happening, and again no one moves. A state of hunger and desperation. Millions are now displaced, living in makeshift camps where disease and famine kill more than bullets. Aid organizations are blocked from entering certain zones, journalists are silenced, and the government continues to deny responsibility. In some regions, hunger itself has become a weapon, food withheld as punishment for belonging to the wrong ethnicity. Children's bodies, thin as paper, tell a story of cruelty beyond words. International relief agencies have repeatedly warned that Ethiopia faces one of the worst humanitarian crises in modern history. Yet global leaders respond with empty statements. The United Nations issues concerns. The European Union threatens sanctions. The African Union calls for dialogue. But none of this stops the killing. None of this brings justice. The media's complicity through silence. Perhaps one of the most shameful aspects of this tragedy is the silence of the Western media. The same networks that dedicate endless coverage to wars in Europe offer only seconds, if any, to the agony of Ethiopians. When black lives are destroyed in Africa, they are treated as statistics, not as human beings. This selective empathy, this hierarchy of suffering, is racism hidden under diplomatic language. The Western press talks endlessly about defending democracy, but ignores when democratic principles are crushed in Africa. Why? Because Ethiopia has no oil to sell, no strategic military bases to offer, and no white population to make headlines relatable. The suffering of Africans has been normalized, accepted as part of a continent of crises. That normalization is part of the genocide itself. The government's crimes and global hypocrisy. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed once received the Nobel Peace Prize for ending war with Eritrea. Today that same peace laureate stands accused of war crimes. His government's forces alongside Eritrean troops have been implicated in atrocities too horrific to describe. Massacres in Aksum, mass rapes in Tigray, executions in Amhara. The international community gave him a prize, then gave him weapons. Western governments continue to provide aid to a regime that uses hunger and terror as political tools. China and Russia, eager to expand their influence, supply military equipment and political cover. The African Union, headquartered in Addis Ababa, remains silent, afraid to criticize one of its own. This is not diplomacy, it is complicity. Every dollar sent to this government, every silence from a world leader, every muted headline, all of it fuels the genocide. Where is humanity? Where are the human rights defenders who claim to speak for justice? Where are the global protests that fill streets when other wars erupt? Where is the outrage, the moral clarity, the compassion? Ethiopia's children deserve the same attention, the same humanity as any other child in this world. This is not about politics anymore. It is about survival, about whether we, as a global society, will allow another genocide to unfold under our watch. The blood of Tigrayans, Amharas, all of them, cries out from the soil of Ethiopia. Call to action. The genocide in Ethiopia must stop, now. The international community must impose a total arms embargo on all warring parties. Independent investigators must be granted unrestricted access to all regions. Humanitarian aid must flow freely. Perpetrators, no matter how powerful, must face international justice. Silence is no longer an option. To ignore this genocide is to participate in it. Every voice matters. Journalists, activists, politicians, citizens. If we remain indifferent, we are no better than the hands that pull the trigger. Conclusion. Ethiopia's tragedy is not only an African story, it is a human story, a mirror reflecting our collective failure to defend life when it is most vulnerable. The genocide must end, and the world must finally learn that no nation's suffering is worth less than another's. Justice delayed is justice denied. And Ethiopia has waited long enough.
And I think that the Secretary General must resign.
This conflict lasted 2 years. 500,000 people died. That's 40 times the number of deaths in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict since October 7th. It is outrageous that this conflict has not gotten more attention in the world. That is not a problem caused by our witnesses here. They're working on it every day. We have a UN Secretary General who outrageously said that what's happening in Gaza is unparalleled. No, what's unparalleled is what happened in northern Ethiopia. We have a number of others in the human rights community who have very falsely said that what is happening in Gaza is massively larger than anything that has happened since 2019, No, it is what we're here to talk about today, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, for having this hearing. There's also a feeling that since we had the Pretoria Agreement in November of 2022, our job is done. I think this hearing has illustrated the fact that that is not the case. It's a year later, and Eritrean troops are still there. What's worse is that they are committing extrajudicial execution of civilians, sexual enslavement of women, and other terrible human rights abuses. So I'll ask you, why haven't we sanctioned Eritrea, its mining operations, and especially its president?
Secretary General has today delivered a letter to the President of the Security Council invoking Article 99 of the Charter of the United Nations. This is the first time that António Guterres has done this since he became Secretary General in 2017.
Of Article 99 by the UN Secretary General is a really dramatic move. It's sort of like the firing off of an SOS flare. Article 99 allows him to bring to the attention of the Council any matter which may threaten the maintenance of international peace and security. It's the first time that Guterres has used this measure since he became Secretary General in 2017. It's only happened 9 times in the history of the UN. The last time was back in 1989 to push for a ceasefire in Lebanon's civil war.
Some 130 hostages are still held captive, and I call for their immediate and unconditional release, as well as their humane treatment and visits from the international community of the Red Cross until they are freed.
Show the whole world how much of a global event this Huffington record is. Connecticut, are you ready? I want to see you. Everybody now, let's go. Go crazy. Begin. Ain't no way that you can kill the beast dead. I got Middle East women and Middle East. I got oil well money in the desert playing. Don't chase short sky, she can win a Louis. Chest cold diamonds making women more. And you buy 20 million on the Then I step up in the club and make these other niggas get the way I make the people want to sing.
La 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 hallelujah hallo hini balla hini hallo we getting there we getting
Everybody now free.
Allah shiki hallelujah balla hini hallo hini balla we getting
Go crazy.
we getting there
Talk to it. 7-star hotel, back movies, big ass, got big camel toe, women walk around like security, yo. Love on fire now. Sitting in casinos while I'm gambling with. Money don't watch me purchase pieces of the house. Y'all already know I got the streets. Gotta make it bad, gotta make it live. Let me see you.
la 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 hallelujah hallo hini balla hini hallo we getting there we getting Allah shiki hallelujah balla mini hallo hini balla we getting there we getting there
Hey, yo, stop. All right, now,
I ain't see everybody doing it.
I want to see everybody do it now, though.
I want to see everybody do it. We gonna do this shit up here.
Have a seat.
I want to sit down and watch this one.
Me too.
All right.
Okay.
Come on, Trent.
Connecticut, we want to see y'all do it by your motherfucking selves. Hey! 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 Oh! Oh! Here we go!
la la